Hello there, and welcome to another one of my commentaries. And today I think we are going to take a little break from Hyrule Total War and the Zelda universe, and I will show a little sample of my other big game that I've been working on. For whatever reason, not that many people have been interested in this one compared to my Zelda stuff, and I guess it's obvious why, because Zelda is obviously much more huge than this original creation of mine, but hopefully with enough advertisement I can get some more people interested in this. So I am going to show my other game today, and hopefully you will all be interested in it. As far as what this game is about, it's called Sigma, and it's basically a sci-fi real-time strategy game set in space. And those that know me know that I love real-time strategy games, and it's my hope to one day put the genre back on the map by making this game. Because over the last decade, RTS games have been dying, and it's mostly blamed on the fact that they're too complicated for people to learn, but I just blame that on laziness, because my 7-year-old sister can play RTS games just fine and give people a run for their money. So anyway, before I go off on a tangent, I suppose we'll get into the details of the game. Now, like in any real-time strategy game, you'll basically get to command one of 5 different alien factions, and each faction basically plays differently and has their own unique tech tree and ships and stuff. And the 5 races you'll be playing as are the Zvestavan, which are these reptile, warlike creatures. And then the second race you'll get to play as is the VRA. They're basically the humanoid race that everybody tends to like. Then the third race is the Sov. They're basically these capitalistic insectoid creatures, and they're probably my favorite race at the moment. And then there's the Milox, which are the high-tech mechanical race. And last but not least are the Ecoset, which basically are cybernetic plant-like creatures, and they're the turtling faction. And one of my goals with this game was to make it so that every side was as unique as possible from each other, because an issue I've had with real-time strategy games is that every faction tends to play exactly the same. Like, they'll all have the same units, but they'll just look different or have slightly different stats, and that always really bugs me. So I'm trying to go all out and making all the races look as different as possible from each other and play as different as possible from each other. And you might as well just be playing an entirely different game when you switch between the different races. But yeah, and this is a game I do plan on selling. Like, it's not just a little mod, it's basically my life's work, so I'm going as all out as possible. There's going to be full-on cinematics and everything. There's going to be a big storyline. I'm hiring voice actors to do all the voiceovers for everything, and right now everything in the game is done in terms of multiplayer, so I'm basically just working on all the cinematics right now and trying to accumulate people who want to do voiceovers. So if you're interested in being a voice actor, please do contact me. But anyway, why don't we just start up the game and I'll show you a little bit of what it's all about. Now, if this match drags on pretty long, because unlike Hyrule Total War, the matches in this game tend to last over an hour, and I don't want to bore you guys with lots of commentary on a single match, so if it drags on too long, I'll probably just skip some parts to shorten the video down to under a half hour, so hopefully it won't drag on too long. Alright, so I decided to play as my favorite race, which is the Sov. And basically, for each race, you'll get to choose from 4 different leader characters, and each character is almost like an entire race in themselves. So I'm going to choose my favorite, which is Broker, and she basically gets access to automated drone technology, which is pretty awesome. But anyway, I'll start at my base here. Anyone who's played an RTS knows about the economic setup and everything. And one thing I like about the engine I'm using is that it actually shows like the little drones putting the bases together and constructing them, as you can see here. So There's a lot of detail that I put into just simple things like building structures and things of that nature. And then each race in this game has different resources that they gather to build their stuff. And the Sov rely on these little moons and asteroids that float around to get their 2 resources. So I'm just going to have my mining ships go harvest from them while my builder finishes building this. So yeah, probably not much to talk about in terms of the actual game while I set up everything, because it's just me building up my base. So I'll probably skip ahead right about now to a point where there's more stuff done. Alright, so I skipped ahead a little bit to a point where I have more builders so I can build things faster. Now the Sov rely on these little Tesla coil things to power their bases, and if I were to draw comparisons, I would say it's similar to the whole pylon setup that the Protoss have from StarCraft. So they basically need these little power generators to power all their structures, and also to give them their 3rd resource, which they use to summon their ships. So yeah, I'll zoom in really close here. As you can see, all the little drones building the thing. So I'll just wait up for these generators to be done, and then I'll start building some more important structures that'll help me get a fleet of ships out. So we'll build a financial authority. This particular base, accidentally canceled it. This particular station right here for the Sov, it's a repair base, so your ships can dock there to fix themselves, and it also lets you transmute your different resources. So if you have too much of the gold resource, you can just sell it off for the other resource. Being the capitalistic race that the Sov are, they're really good with resources and gathering and maintaining a stable supply compared to the other races. So that's one of the reasons why I like them, because I hate going broke. And we'll check on the other player who is playing as the Zvestovon, which is the reptile race. And let's zoom into their shipyard. It looks like they're building up a fleet of little ships. So yeah, as you can see, lots of detail in the construction process. Lots of detail in the building of ships. And it looks like they've already set up a little mining base near my base. So also, another feature in Sigma I really wanted was to have basically ecosystems of wild creatures in space. And as you can see here, there's this little creature here who's not one of the enemy players or anything. It's just a map creature, and then it's chasing after this other one right here. Basically, they're going to mate and start a little population of these creatures, and those ones in particular don't have really effect on the gameplay, but some wildlife creatures will actually manage to build up armies and attack all the other players and stuff. So I really wanted space to feel alive in this game, not just a big empty void, because a lot of the RTS games I've played that take place in space, they feel really empty, and while a vast majority of space is just empty, the pockets where there would be civilization are teeming with resources and other things like that. So yeah, that was one of my goals with this game, is to make the maps feel very alive. So in different maps you'll see different ecosystems, different wildlife creatures, and you can eventually exploit them or just kill them off. Alright, so it looks like my economy's going. I got a few ships out. Since I'm playing as broker, I have these little tiny drone ships, which are basically automated drones that follow your command ships. And once these 2 bases are done, I'll summon some more warships. Since the Sov are basically a pure capitalistic society, they don't really have a public military. All their military is privatized, so you have to actually order ships from companies that you want, and they come in from outside of the map. So that's one gameplay feature that I use to make them feel a little more unique. So here comes the ships I ordered. They just come in from the side of the map and warp into your base. So yeah, the Sov don't exactly build their ships. They buy them from companies, and then the companies just ship them onto the map. So I'll build another power generator here just to get the energy flowing. Now normally this game doesn't lag that much, but for some reason the little tiny drones that Broker has, they sometimes cause a little lag. So if there's a few jerks in the frame rate, pardon me.